For Michael Jackson, music wasn't just work. It was who he was. It was a part of his identity. Trying to be successful by living like Joe Jackson will have you question your sanity, quite literally. Especially when you're supposed to be the Michael Jackson of your family, with your own lane, with your own path, with your own pavement that you have to walk without copying someone before you. It's not like one shoe fits all when it comes to the approach of life. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 things that I realized after spending 25 years sacrificing everything. So keep in mind, being the Michael Jackson of your family doesn't mean being famous. Don't get me wrong, discipline matters, because in the movie, without that specific discipline that he got from his father, he himself wouldn't be where he is. Like, he wouldn't be who he is right now. We wouldn't recognize him, and his life experiences wouldn't have turned out the way it did turn out without that discipline aspect of his life. But to also play devil advocate, you have to also understand that discipline should interconnected with alignment, because just like how Joe Jackson in the movie, he was very rigid. He had beliefs that didn't serve him, and he felt like the world is against him. So in that way, he also experienced a world where everything was against him, and he had to maneuver in a way where it was so rigid. So he thought success was one way, when literally Michael himself, his son, proved otherwise. You can be a independent artist and still make it by yourself. You don't have to be stuck to your family, to your brothers, right? And that is the importance of realizing that discipline laced with negative energy or negative associations or not in alignment will never serve you. But on the other hand, if you start being in alignment with whatever avenue, whatever goal you want to attack and go heads on, and you choose to lace it with discipline, I feel like that is when you become your most optimal, successful version of yourself. A lot of people take negative actions or are negatively disciplined, but they are not aligned, and then they wonder why, or like, I have to work so hard, but I feel so shit about myself. I don't even like my life. And worst case scenario, I don't even like who I am as a person. Discipline laced with negativity will never serve you. But if you take action in alignment to what you want, and you are always giving good energy, you're pouring faith, you're pouring conviction, you're pouring good energy, and you're pouring it from a state of consciousness or from a version of yourself that is desired, because everyone's desire is different, everyone's outcome is different, everyone feels success different. My success of how I would feel and how you would feel is completely different. If you want to acquire abundance and you think this is the only vehicle that I would have to take to get my specific abundance, but you don't even realize there is so many vehicles that could take you to your abundance, but because you're so naive and you're so fixated on this specific thing, thinking it's going to take you from A to B, sometimes you might like life is not linear. It's literally like a zigzag. So you have to ask yourself, all right, cool, I'm going to take this vehicle, but if I have to alternate or if I have to pull over and I have to change to another vehicle, I'm more than happy. I'm not going to be so fixated on riding this vehicle and taking it so literal that I don't want to let go and I don't want to be able to maneuver. One thing about this life, you have to know how to adapt, to learn how to maneuver, to know how to change with the cycles, with everything that is going in your life, the highs and the lows, and remaining rooted within yourself. That is something you can't teach someone. That is something that you have to go through your life, and you have to eventually know how to master it. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if anything external shakes you, you have to be like a tree. You have to be rooted. One thing about trees here, even though there's different trees that you can see externally, for example, there's thick trees, thin trees, all types of trees, right? What do they have in common? All of them are rooted within. So despite whatever is happening externally, they stay rooted. So you have to be like, so the goal isn't to rebel against your family. It's not trying to prove a point. It's not trying to do none of that. It's just to live in your truth. And whether the people accept you or not, that's their business. And I feel like at the end of the day, if someone's truly meant for you, they will always try to understand you, even if you come from 2 different paradigms or 2 different ways of thinking. Like, your parents might not understand you, but they'll still have love for you. And I personally believe your parents are the only people on this earth that want you to do better than them. If it's your friends or colleagues or whatever you want to call it, obviously they want you to do better. But when you surpass them, then it becomes like an unconscious competition. Your parents will always have your back. Your parents want you to do better than them. They want you to earn more money. They want you to literally live a better life than them. When I think about Joe Jackson, I don't literally think about the character. I think about more so of what he represents. Archetype of discipline, of hard work, of being rigid, of believing that the world is against you from day one, of just growing up in a society that is opposed to who you are. And to be honest, when I think about Joe Jackson, I think about my dad. My dad is one of the most disciplined people I've ever met in my life. He worked hard, he provided for his family, both the family that he has now and also his siblings, being that provider archetype, being the oldest as well, and being responsible from such a young age, having to flee from war and also assimilate, I don't like that word, but adapt in a whole different environment, in a whole different culture, and also grow up so fast. When you try to live by society, live by how people want you to be, of what society deems as good, what it deems as bad, what your culture deems as good, what it deems as bad as well, they also disown themselves. There's a price tag that you end up paying for, and a lot of people don't realize that you then live a whole life where you start resenting yourself. And after a long time, I thought discipline meant becoming him, becoming another version of my dad, basically. Meaning getting a stable white collar job, doing what I'm supposed to do, being obedient, not questioning authority, not doing what you're not supposed to do, doing what people tell you to do day in and day out, taking their input and literally exiling whatever you think you should do. Throw that shit in the bin because it doesn't matter. Like, wrap it up, throw it in the bin. We don't want to hear it, we don't want to talk about it. You want to live your own life? That's funny. Live the life that we want you to live. And it's very scary, it's very toxic when a lot of kids, immigrant kids, especially people of color, if you're African, if you're just an immigrant, let alone, you end up idolizing your parents so much that you end up not living your own life. You let them live through you. And I feel like that is one of the most miserable ways. Honestly, the problem is I ended up confusing my path with his path, thinking, or maybe these ideas, these ideologies, these things that I should be doing, that I should admire, that I should look up to, are mine. Whole time they're not mine. They were literally implanted in my head through upbringing and through seeing people around me and seeing my community and seeing how, like, this is what you should be doing. This is what everyone does. And if you're not doing that, it's like everyone's looking at you sideways, like, fix up. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's so important to understand that 9 times out of 10, when you feel like you are in this tug of war when it comes to yourself, in terms of like you want to do something that is creative or you want to do something that is completely opposite to how your family used to do things, and you almost feel so guiltful. You feel like, I want to do that, but I also feel like, why do we feel guilty? Why do we feel like we have to plead our case? Why do we have to feel like we have to choose between the old ways of approaching things and compared to your own self-expression? A lot of people suppress their self-expression and they don't even know like they have their own self-expression. You know, people think their self-expression is what their parents want them to do, and that is completely not true. This is why I've seen a lot of people, like, for example, they would go to uni and study things that they never wanted to study, degrees and stuff, and they would finish it. And then after finishing those 3 years of or 4 years of going to university, they become in debt. Whether you get a job or you don't get a job, your parents are not going to work your job. You're going to work that job. That loan is written under your name. So if you're not going to at least take into consideration how crazy that is, I don't know I don't know anything crazy than that. Like, I started realizing that I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't living the reality that I wanted to live. And also, it made me hate discipline so much because growing up seeing, seeing how disciplined my dad was and the negativity that was laced with discipline, not because discipline is inherently bad, but because I saw discipline always be in service of other people. So when you're being disciplined, you're actually being in service for other people's needs and wants, and you're just being disciplined, you're being obedient because of that case. If that case wasn't in the picture, your version of discipline would be a completely different POV. And growing up, I also started to realize that I saw how discipline meant self-abandoning who you are, your wants, your needs, your creativity, your self-expression, what you want, what you truly desire, what you truly want out of life. That was discipline, but at the expense of what someone else deemed their version, their meaning of what discipline truly meant. Whole time, it's like discipline meant abandon yourself, abandon your self-expression, don't speak, don't think, don't even try to think for yourself. I'm gonna think for you, and you start putting that shit on autopilot and run with that shit, like real talk. I remember after high school, I went to study nursing, and I remember I kept failing my classes. And this is embarrassing to say, but hey, let me speak my truth. I kept failing my courses because first things first, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like to my mom, like, I want to take a gap year. I don't know what to do, but like hopefully by the end of the year I'll know what to do. She was like, no, just do nursing, because at that time I don't know what it was. Everyone that I knew was doing nursing, and they would accept you easily. You can literally enroll and get accepted, and there wasn't really that much competition. Because I was a people pleaser, I was like, you know what, money's up, everyone and their mums is doing it, let me just enroll and do it. You know what I'm trying to say? If everyone's doing it, it can't be that hard. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what I was thinking. Yeah, keep in mind, I did biology and chemistry in high school, but I didn't even like that. Like, I hated biology because it felt like I was literally learning another language. And a lot of people say that. I don't care what anyone says, learning bio or biology is like learning a whole different language, because the photosynthesis, all of those words, like, it's mad. Clock it for real. Anyways, back to my story. I was like to my mom, you know what, like, I ain't doing, like, I'm not even getting up too much, so let me try it. And I enrolled and I did my first semester, guys. Like, we had like a quick one of those practical exams face to face, you know what I'm trying to say? And I remember I just didn't do well and I failed miserably. Yeah, I didn't do well. I didn't even pass at all, you know what I'm trying to say? And then I was like, okay, cool, this is not working for me. And I was like to myself, okay, cool, if that doesn't work for you, do that shit again. Like, repeat the course again, as if they are going to change the curriculum or make it any easier. It's very, like, it doesn't make sense. Anyways, I was like to myself, let me repeat this semester in the next 6 months again. And the same thing happened. And then I was like to myself, you know what, stop forcing it. How many times are you going to fail? And I'm not taking it personal, like me not succeeding or me not passing this specific examination, this practical exam that was set by the curriculum. I'm not taking it personal. But what I don't understand is, why am I putting myself in a predicament where I have to constantly fail in something where I'm being told, like, yo, this is the line, you can't go past this line. You can keep coming back over and over again, but at the end of the day, you are the one that is paying the price, and that price being time is gold, meaning I'm wasting time by doing things that I shouldn't be doing because someone told me, oh yeah, do that. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, go do that, you're not doing anything. And me being a people pleaser, internalizing that opinion and taking it as my own, and saying to myself, like, all right, cool, there is no other thing that I want to think about. I don't want to even think about what I want. Let me take your truth and run with it. And I feel like that can become a very toxic cycle where you can run with someone's externalized version of a truth about you. You could run with that shit for years thinking it's your voice. Whole time it was a whisper that went in your mind. Take that shit out. How many times am I gonna repeat someone else's dream just to fail in 4K over and over again? And like, how long am I gonna keep being in this rat race of being in this denial stage of like, this is not working for me, like, just move on. I wish someone told me this, but when you are the first child immigrant and your parents expect so much for you, especially when it comes to education, don't get me wrong, it's a privilege, of course, but you need to speak your truth. I feel like a lot of people are doing courses and degrees, and it's so funny that I say this actually. I remember when I was in university and I was in the elevator, there was this guy, you know, those people that just like to talk in the elevator, like he was one of those people. And then he was like to me, oh, I just graduated from like I think it was accounting, and I wish I never did that course. It's such a waste of time. And he was still confused. It's so crazy. Like, you would look at those people who are going to universities, doing courses or whatever. You would think they have the whole life together. The whole time they might like still be thinking, oh, what if I actually did this? What if I wanted to do this? What if I, like, you know what I'm trying to say? I feel like they don't have so much guts to actually face the reality of, all right, cool, I don't want to please you, I want to please myself. And I feel like that takes a lot of balls, a lot of willpower from your part to literally say, like, uni's not for me, schooling's not for me, this is not for me, and that is fine. Like, if you think about the schooling system, it doesn't make sense. You go to school from the moment you're born, yeah, like, we love education, but like, a lot of kids don't know what they want to do. They get pushed to fields that society tells them to be a doctor, to be this. Unless you are one of those people that just grew up wanting to be a lawyer, wanting to be a doctor, like knowing what you wanted to do, then kudos to you, because that's you. But I'm speaking about a lot of people who are always lost in the sauce and they just want to fit in and just want to make life easier for them by adapting and just doing things where they don't have so much resistance, and so they can live a fulfilled life. But a lot of people don't live a fulfilled life, and that conversation made me realize, like, a lot of people are just putting a front. You would think someone's life is cherries and blossoms whole time. You don't even know what's going on within people, within their actual life. This is why you should never ever judge people, or because if you walked in their shoes, you would hate the things that come with being who they are. You wouldn't know the struggles, you wouldn't know what is happening truly in their life. So this is why you should be so blessed to be walking in your own shoes with your own identity, with your own autonomy, because you would trust and believe, like, you would not want to live someone else's life, especially if you knew the ins and out. You would be like, damn, I'm so grateful to be in my own body, in my own predicament, in my own situation, within my own community, within my own family, because everyone's family is different, everyone's culture is different. Even if you guys believe in the same religion or come from the same culture, everyone's experience is so different. Trust. The goal is to stop borrowing other people's dreams, other people's desires, other people's unfulfilled wishes, you name it, and start building your own foundation brick by brick, brick by brick, quite literally day in and day out. And also remember, stop using discipline to live someone else's version of what reality should be like through their own version of discipline, and start using discipline to become in alignment of the version that you truly want yourself to be, without sugarcoating it, without hiding it, without trying to have double-sided ways of it. Be honest and actually stay on business when it comes to you. People say, oh, I'm staying on business on certain things, but stay on business when it comes to yourself. That is my $1,000,000 question. Are you going to stay in alignment when it comes to your own version of discipline without letting other people skew your own opinion? Because if you can do that and if you can stay rooted, then you got it for real.